Well, hi. Here we go. I did just a little bit the other night. Couldn't seem to stop myself. So you can see this little bit of shadow under the fingers here, which makes the fingers look very flat at the edges. We'll get back to that part later. But I'm going to illustrate putting the shadow in over here on this hand so that I'm not doing it all off camera. Okay, so here we had a mixture. Oh no, here's the mixture. Here we had the mixture that we used, that layer down here. I think it was indigo with a tiny bit of white ink. And the nice thing about when you add white ink, it makes things go duller and flatter. They tend to recede more. And that works kind of nicely in shadows and other places that you just don't, where you don't want something to stand out too much. Okay, so I've got just a juicy thin mixture here. Because if anything, right now I'm feeling a little concerned that maybe I got that shadow too strong. Probably didn't, but so I'm just going to put a little bit of shadow down here. I'm actually making the shadow stronger than it is in the photo. Let's see, there's a little bit of shape right there. It makes kind of a little triangle. And then I'm going to put a little bit under this thumb, even though you really can't see much of anything in the photo. And then I'm going to soften that edge just gently like that. Okay. So that's all I'm doing. It might be a little under this finger. You may not have this finger. And I apologize if you don't, but you're probably not obsessing over it. And you know, this is going to trim off right there. Okay. There. So I did the same thing over here. Okay, now let's get down to business. So, like I just said, the edges of these fingers look very flat. And so does this area along the nose. Here, I'm going to get a better pointer. No, that's not much better. Right along here, that looks really flat. I didn't do anything with that. Okay, so here we go. Let's mix up some color. Gee, I don't quite remember what I was working with before. Should have written it down, I guess. So at one point we were using Cheap Joe's Naples Yellow. I'm going to use New Gamboge. And I tell you what, just to quieten that down a little bit, I'll put just a little bit of Naples in there. Okay. And I guess let's go ahead and go with Quin Coral. Put some in here. And I've got I've got a color there. I tell you what, let's modify it just a little bit. Okay, I've got some cerulean. I'm kind of checking my paint out over here because I pre-wet it last night and left the lid on. So I'm getting, sometimes when I dip into it, I'm getting a little more color up than I'm used to. Oh, well let's see what that does. That may be too much. Oh, maybe not. Maybe that's not too much. I think I'll put a little more yellow in it, though. Let's use the Naples. There. That's got that soft, peachy look, but it's a little bit muted. But with the cerulean. Now, this is some really fine, careful work here that I need to do. So I'm going to take a small brush. And what I'm looking for here, let's start with these fingers. What I'm looking for right here is even though sometimes when you look at something, actually here you can see it. You can see that it's a little darker right there at the edge. Now on the nose, I can't really see that it's darker right at the edge, but I know that it is. And I know that my brain is sensing it, even though when I look for it, I can't really find it. Maybe if I got down with a magnifying glass on it, I could. So, but I can tell when I look at this that this looks terribly flat. So that tells me that I need to make that edge curve just barely. And same thing here with the finger. So I'm going to do the finger first because I want to practice. So let's see. Let's start with this finger because I could crop this finger out entirely if I wanted to. See how I'm just barely touching that edge? And I'm immediately going to soften this. There we go. Okay, well, I will have to let that dry before I do this finger. I could do some on the thumb, though. And this thumb here, you can see a lot of shadow on the thumb, and we're going to put more shadow on that in a little bit anyway. There is a little bit of pink shadow under the nail. And then there's going to be shadow under here. So let's just do those together. Okay, and I could use this color up under here. I think not. Okay, let's come over here. I'm going to have to turn this where it's easy for me to work with. Man, there's a strange noise out there. Sounds like a spaceship. That's someone trying to start their car, but it's really weird sounding. Sophie, please. So here, the same thing. I'm going to carefully do this. And let's soften this edge. Because that'd be terrible if the edge wasn't softened. I think that might be a tiny bit too dark. I think I'll blot it. That'll probably work. See, that curves now. Oh, I feel sorry for them. I know just what that feels like. Okay, let's see. Let's look at this thumb. That thumb's got a different kind of shadow on it. We really don't need to do that, but we need to do the tips of these fingers. Okay, I'm back. Okay, tiny bit. See, I can just pick up a tiny bit of color right there on the end of my brush. Let's start with, I guess, this finger. This finger's got a little more shadow on it. And the best result is if I don't overlap the shadow that's underneath it. Because if I do, I get an extra dark line. And I really don't want that there. You know, I think that's just too strong. Let's put a little more Naples in it. And over here, let's thin it out a little bit more here. Let's just take a little batch right here, put over there. See that little batch? Okay, so that's what I'm dipping into. Because these fingers are real pale because of the pressure on them. So I don't want to get the tip of them too pink, but I need to shade them. And then I got to soften that edge right away before it starts to dry on me. Oh, that's better already. Oops. I picked up the wrong stuff. Okay. And I don't want it I don't want that little edge to come very far out. I want it to just stay. I want a soft edge on it, but I want it to keep it right down there on the edge. And that's kind of hard to do. That's all I need to do there. Now, let's look at the fingernails while we're at it here. So you can see, I mean, you see the edges of the fingernails, but what are they? They're real pale. I'm having a hard time making up my mind what they are like. Okay, like right here. Let's use a little of this mix, the original mix. And let's go, let's see, right there on the edge. This should be pale. So, see, that's a little too strong, but I'm fixing to soften it again. It'll have a hard edge against the nail, and then it softens as it comes out onto the finger. Now, later, we got to do a little bit going the other way. Whoop. There. Put a little bit of color on the nail now on this side. There we go. Now see, this is just the beginnings of it. So let's do this nail too. See right there. And we'll see just how much of this we have to do. This is a start on it. We'll have to do more, but I may just do parts of it for now. Okay, this space between the fingers. Tell you what, let's take a little of this and put right over there and put a little more red back in it. Maybe a little more red, maybe a little bit more blue. There. This finger has more shadow. See, it's bent, and it's where it's bent at the knuckle, it's casting more shadow right there, and then it gets narrower as it comes down. So we've got a shape that comes along here, kind of like this, gets wider right there, and then it comes down and it just barely exists here, like that. And let's soften the edge. Because this is very soft lighting, really. She's backlit, but the lighting on her face and her hands is really pretty soft. Okay, so we got that spot done. Let's do a little more of the same right in here. I'm not going to go all the way down the line here because this is going to dry before I get down there. So I better just do just that much. And then I'll come along and do a shape right in here. This won't be dark enough. I will come back with more color later. I'm being very picky about this one because she's so pretty. So this one's going to take us a little longer than what we usually spend on these. And I'm really recommending that you don't get out in front of me on this because I may have some new things to show you here. Okay, here got a little wrinkle there. Let's see, it comes out right about here. It's wider at the bottom. Makes a long, skinny little triangle like that. And then we really need to soften those edges. See how that puts this finger behind that one. Okay. See where it comes out right here at the bed of the nail? Makes a little different shape right there. You want that. All those subtle little things are showing something. Okay. She has a crease right here. In fact, she has creases on all these fingers that we haven't done yet. I think I need to grade that a little more. Let's put a little bit more blue. Okay, that's enough. I think a little bit more water too. Okay, let's try that. Okay, right here. I'm just taking my time to gauge it. You can see this little, there's almost a little bend right here. That lines up with this little wrinkle, which has a curve to it. And I don't want it to be straight across. It's narrower at the edges than it is in the middle. See if I can make that work. Oh, that doesn't look quite right. Let's put a little bit more color right down in here too. I think I'll put a little bit more in this wrinkle right here. And I'm softening that edge just a little bit. These edges don't have to be perfect and all softened, but when I get up on her face, I'm going to be even pickier. We don't look at the hands near as much as we do the face. Okay, let's put a little bit more, let's put a little bit more red under this knuckle right here. And we're going to curve it this way. Just a little bit. Whoa. Boy, that's strong. Well, we better do something about that. I'm going to pull some of it up. I think we need a little bit more color right along this edge now. Right here. And we need to pull it out this way. Just kind of going by what I see. And while I'm at it, I could put a little bit more color in under here. It's going to need a lot more color eventually. And the other thing is, I shouldn't be resting my hand on her face because I don't want to get any oils from my skin on her skin, because those places need to be really smooth. See, can you see how we're beginning to develop some shape here? So I'm looking. I haven't worked on this nail bed at all, have I? Maybe I did. Well, I need more. I need a lot more. There's a lot more color right there on the skin part, not the nail bed. Well, it's in both places, but I'm going to, I think I need a little more water. I'm going to pull some color out. This is redder. Out this way and along that edge. And then I'm going to soften it. Try to keep my hand off of her face. Some people, I've seen some people even wear gloves when they worked on something like this. I can't do that, but I could have a paper towel, a clean paper towel, laying out here like this. Okay, that would be a good strategy. Okay. Yeah, this needs shadow right along there too. That is, it needs that edge not to be flat. You know, it needs me to do something more here. So, you know, like one part has to dry before I work the other part next to it. Okay, see, we're beginning to develop some shape in here. I need some shadow. Have to make up my mind. I better look. Yeah, there is a little bit of shadow under the nail, at least here, and I'm going to put a tiny bit there. It's just really hard to see. So in this case, I can work it better from this angle. Okay, so let's just take one. I think I want one of those shadow colors, and I've run out of color. I'm using my peachy orangey mixture. Oops, dropped my paper towel. My peachy orangey mixture right here. I think I'm going to put a touch more red in it, and a touch more blue. There. And you know, the main thing is that you don't want your shadows to be too bright. Okay, quickly. Because that looks awful. Okay. Quickly, we're going to... Okay, now she's got a fingernail. But you see, we didn't make the fingernail by making an outline around it. We darkened in one area, and we softened the edge so that the skin next to the nail would have curve to it, right here. And then we did the same thing in here on the nail bed a little bit and curved it this way so the nail is not a flat object. And so we keep doing things like that, and pretty soon you've got a nail built up almost before you know it. Now, this finger has got a lot of pressure on it, and it doesn't have as much shadow. I could make as much shadow, but I'll make it a little bit lighter. Okay. Soften the edge. There, that looks pretty good. We'll put a little, we'll build this up. Let's do this much right here. Soften that edge. That'll do there for now. We're going to do a lot more. Well, actually, we could put a little bit more shape right there. And soften that. A color here where it didn't belong. See, I still haven't made a graduated edge here on this finger. And I have it right here, I believe. Okay, I'll take a little bit of this orangey mixture. And, whoops, need a little bit more water. Let's come down, whoops, down along here. It's a good thing you don't have to have a lot of manual dexterity to paint. I would be up the creek. Okay, so see the hand is beginning to form. We've made real progress there. Over here. Oh dear, I have spatters all over. Why didn't someone tell me? Oh, no one's here. Okay, so I've got a little shadow under the nail. I need a little shadow. We'll use this, I guess, the orange tone. Above. This is the skin part above the nail. And then we soften the edge. So see, this isn't rocket science. It just, the major thing is to not think about outlining the nails. That's why we want to keep our drawing so light on the nails, is so that it doesn't make an outline around there. If anything, I have it a little darker than I would have liked. Guess I could put a little bit of shadow right in under here. That looks pretty strong. And we were going to, a while ago, work on this, except the other finger was wet. Soften that edge. See, if you don't soften that edge, you ruin the whole effect. So you can only do a little bit at a time because there's so little water in this, it dries really fast. And with the heat going like crazy, like I have it today, sorry, I can't talk. With the heat going like crazy, like I have it today, it dries really fast. I've just got different shades of this skin tone. They're not that different, but I've got them in several places. Now, I'm not putting shaping on the tip of the nail because that's characteristically lighter. It looks a little dark. I guess that'll do. And let's put just a little something here under the nail. And I'm getting a little bit sloppy here. Okay, so that's not finished by any means, but it's time to get away from it. Put a suggestion of this other finger behind here. And then let's go work on the face. I've wadded my paper towel up all over the place. Okay, so we've softened this. Now, here's where I want you to look. There are highlights on the face reflected off of this plastic, whatever it is. Mine's not going to look like it's plastic because I drew the line too rough. Okay, I don't know what it's going to look like it is. But see right there, I need a finer pointer. Here's one of these. See right here is a highlight. It's just a very gentle, very subtle highlight. There's a highlight there. There's a highlight under here. This area is lighted a little bit. Oh, look here on the nose. See there on the side of the nose? It's not coming from the top. It's coming from either ahead or up under, a little bit above. This area right here is lighter and more of a yellow tone, and this is more grayed down here. There's a lighter area there. Oh, there's a lot of places to pay attention to, isn't there? Whew. All right. What I need is, I need more color right in here and coming down the middle of the nose right to here, but not there. And it would be nice if I could slightly, this is more of a grayed tone. I'm going to try to mix something that's like that. This is not how I usually work, but I think I'm going to try to mix something here that will do this shape right here. I wish I could draw it for you, but I can't. Okay. Let's make something like, oh, well, that's too purple. See this? Is that too purple? I could actually put that down and then I could tone it with something if it's too purple. That's not a bad color. Okay, here we go. You know what? I think I'm going to pre-wet this. I'm going to play this very safe here, because these are all, it's soft edges through the whole area. So I'm going to wet out past the area that I'm going to work on. Like that. I might even let that water set just a minute. Looking at it from the side. Actually, I didn't get it too wet. It's about right now. I don't need to lift any. So I'm going to touch in some color here, down here, and on the top of the nose. Oh dear, that's getting away from me. I guess I did have too much water down. Okay, so I'm going to kind of just nurse it along. I've just barely got any color down there. I really want more color than that. But what I'm going to have to do is let this dry a little bit. So I'm just going to watch it. Oh, it's already losing its color. So let's put a little more down here. Down here, and then down the center of the nose, but leave that little area lighter. I think I want a little more blue in it. Now, this shape right here, I need to be pretty careful with. Pulling some color up. I don't want it over this part of the nose. Here we go. Let's suck that up. I don't really think it's a good idea to blot on the face. This looks a little bit rough, but when it dries, it'll probably look smooth. Some of the granulating colors look like they're granulating a lot until they dry. Then you find out they didn't. It just doesn't have enough color in it. Let's add a little more red in here. Now I'm just adding it with the tip of my brush as this is drying. It just really looks rough. Well, I've been down this road before, and I know it won't look rough later, but I don't have the color far enough over on this side. You see how picky I'm being about this? Now, I'm not expecting you to go over the top with this, but I'm just showing you how I would do it. Okay, so I'm going to leave that alone, and it looks rough, but you can't fix it, first of all, working on it, and odds are it will dry smooth, and if it doesn't, it doesn't. Her nostrils. You see, we've got some cool grayed areas here, but look at her nostrils. They're pretty pinky. They're not bright pink. They're that muted stuff I was making here a few minutes ago with this peach mixture. I'm calling it peach mixture. A little more red, a little more blue. Whoop, not enough blue. Whoop, too much blue. Okay, that wouldn't look healthy at all. Well, we're going to have a bigger mixture here. There's some red. Let's put a little more of the peach in here until we get something about right. I think that's about right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to build in a little more depth to her nostril. See, I didn't get it wet down here. Now what I want to do is pull some color down this way, but I think what I'm going to have to do is let that dry first. So this area where that is really dark is tiny. It's just a tiny little spot like that. In fact, I think I've got it a little bit big, and then there's a bit of a line right there. Okay, I'm going to let those dry, and we'll come back to it later. We could put a little depth right along here. This may have a bit too much blue in it. I can modify that later if it does. Nope, maybe it's about right. Okay, and on this side, yeah, there's I have to look. I have to look and look and look and study it. There is shadow on the cheek area. It's small. It's lighter than on this side, but it's there. At first, I couldn't tell if it was on the cheek or on the nose. It's basically on the cheek. So you see, we're beginning to get the beginnings of the shape. Now I'm letting this dry a little bit before I come back and do more of the nostrils. So let's look at the eyes. I'm going to take a break. All right, we've just got a little bit of time left. Can't believe it went by so fast. I've let this dry. I think I'm going to work on the nose a little bit more first. So again, you have to look at your copy because you can see it better. But you can see there's pink, soft-edged stuff here and comes down in a little V where this center divide is. There's a little bit of a pink V coming down a little ways. So, gee, I thought I had a bunch of this mixed up. Okay. That's about right. Okay. See, these areas are really critical to getting both a likeness, but even if you don't get a likeness, if you just want it to look like a real human. So, see, I'm dotting paint back on top of that little nostril area, and then though I'm going to pull it down off of that down here this way, and as I do it gets a little bit lighter too. So same thing, I'm going to put quite a bit of color right here because this is dried right there. And then I'm going to dampen the edge and pull it down so there's just a little pinkish halo coming down this way. Oh. Now there's a shape right here on the nose. See that little darker area right there? That's kind of a purpley, not purpley, lavender ish area. Let's put a little more. And here's the thing. It doesn't have to be the exact color that's on her. It'd be nice. But it doesn't have to be. But if you vary these mixtures, and I know those of you that have painted with me before, you didn't see me paint this way. Because I usually don't. I just paint in layers. But I thought, what the hell, let's try it. So, there's a shape, comes up here like this, and here and there. Oh dear, will I ever get it right in time? And it comes out that way. We need to soften all of these edges a little bit. And that comes out that way and fades. Oh dear. Okay, I've got this shape wrong. I didn't tell y'all this was an easy one, did I? Okay, that looks too dark. Other than that, I don't think it's bad. So I'm going to blot it really hard. I think by the time it dries, it'll be close to what I want. Okay. A little bit more. We're going to get a little bit more bluish again. Like that, maybe. I know the video that you're seeing, the color is not the same as what I'm seeing here. But then it isn't on any other videos either, I'm sure. So you see that little lavender triangle I made there? Looks like a rabbit, doesn't it? Okay, so we're gonna soften the edges. That was a little bit wetter, so I had a little bit more time. And I don't want this line to go all the way through. I want to break through it right here. Your brain will connect. Your brain knows what is going on here. Okay, that looks strange because we don't have these other areas darkened. When we get the rest of the color in here, that won't seem strange. But for right now, I'm going to move away from it and work here under the eye a little bit more. I think that's about the shape I want right there. And then I want to pull it down and soften it. I'm going to leave a hard edge under the eye. And I'm going to just barely soften this edge. See, I've kind of wiped the brush out. So I'm just barely touching that edge, just making it a little bit softer, just barely. Okay. This, again, is looking strange because we don't have any color in the eyes right now. We will like this better once we've got some color in here, and I need color right here. So those of you that have worked with me before in class have never seen me do anything in this much detail because you couldn't see it in class. Hopefully, at least some of you will be able to tell what's going on here. Aha! I just found something that I hadn't seen before. By the way, that's not me that chews the end of these pencils. That's Sophie. There is an eyelid crease right there. Can you see it? Right there. I don't have it in the drawing. I don't know if it's in the drawing and I didn't trace it, or if you don't have it either. Okay. Whew. I thought maybe I just had double vision there for a minute. Okay, let's just take some of whatever. I'll go with the bluish tone. And let's do the same thing that we're doing with the fingernails in a way. We're going to deepen the edge right there. I don't know if I'd go the trouble to fade that out. I'm going to try to. There. Okay. We could put a little bit of detail. You're really not seeing, you're just seeing the beginning edge of the tear duct right here, because most of it is obscured by this part of the nose. There. Okay. And let's go put a little bit on over here. Yeah, you've never experienced this in class like this. Actually, she has tiny tear ducts. I don't know if that's all children have tiny tear ducts. Probably. I'm just putting kind of a little dash line along there where the edge of the eyelash line. And then this is fairly red, this little crease right here under the eye. So I'm going to put it in lightly, and I'm going to soften one edge on it. I'm putting it in lighter than it needs to be, and I'm going to soften one edge. See, what I do with these creases and like the areas between the fingers is I put one hard edge in and soften one side. Then when that's dry, I come back and overlap that with another hard edge and soften out this way. And it works out beautifully, usually. Okay, let's find something more. Oh, I don't know where I want to go here. Oh, well, let's do this eyelid up here. And then I think we're going to have over 40 minutes in this. Take your time when you do this. Take your time. Really study the photo. See what you can do with it. This isn't just go through the motions. This is, remember, use your brain a lot more than you use your hand. I think I could use a little bit more there. Yeah, okay, that's going into the softened edge. That's working there. So that still has to be worked on. Just got a tiny little bit of a crease right here. I mean, I don't know how much detail I want to really go into with this. I may be overdoing it. Okay, there we are. That's the beginning of some shaping. I'm going to need to put more color in here. We need more color we need more color everywhere. But that's a nice beginning. And it's beginning to shape up.